All right, so I guess we're here at Agape Fest 2011 with Scott of Philmont. So I like to start out with just want to know, how did everything start? How did Philmont start?
Well, we in '05 we were all from Charlotte, and we were all in local bands, and those local bands ended up splitting up, and we knew each other from the local music scene, and started playing together and writing music together as Philmont, and then it's been what was that, '05, so 6 years, and just it sort of clicked, and so we've kept it going for that long. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys have come a long way in just a short time. So another question I'd like to ask is, okay, an interesting name. So I want to know, how did the name come together? That's kind of an interesting Philmont. It's very unique out of all the names I've heard so far, because we've heard a lot of interesting names out there, all kinds of stuff. So how did Philmont come around?
Well, it's really random. All our bands we had before were just really terrible band names, really hard to spell or hard to remember. And so we were just like, all right, we really want something that's like one word and just sounds like a rock band, the end. And so our method was to pull out an atlas, and we're looking at maps and just pointing at, just like, oh, that sounds like a band name, that sounds like a band name, and had this list, and went through and weeded out the ones we liked, and just somehow landed on Philmont. It was I think it's a small town in New York, so in New York State. So.
That's pretty cool. So if you're anywhere in New York and you live in Philmont, that's where the name came from. So you kind of live in a very special town now. So that's pretty awesome. So I had a fan question come in. I believe it's the song Ascension, right?
Okay.
They wanted to know, what's the song mean? Where did it come from? How did that come together?
It's an older song, and it was on an independent release that we had called the Photosynthetic EP, and it was a full band, more rock song. And when we put out the Oh Snap EP, when it went to retail, we needed to add another track to it. So we're like, oh, let's take an older song and we'll redo it. And so we that was sort of like why we put the song out. And the song itself is it's a little more abstract, but it's sort of like a sort of end of the world, sort of end of times vibe sort of song, and sticking close to somebody is what it's about. So it's a little out there.
Well, that's cool. So you guys have been around for a while, and you've done quite a few tours now. I believe you're on tour with 11 right now, correct? So one of the things I'm curious is, what is your most favorite band you've toured with, and all the time is being filmed? And I mean, it can't include, like, here in this festival, you could pick a band out at a big festival. I mean, just, what is the most favorite band you've ever performed with?
Well, I think I really like just touring with different bands and meeting new people, and you just, even if it's a short tour, like this one with 11 is only about a week long, but we were both doing the festival and we're friends, so we're like, oh, let's make a run of it. It's cool because you just get really close. You're spending a lot of time together over the course of a couple days or a week or a month even. Just, you get to know these people, and even if, like, I mean, we toured bands out west, and you don't see them for a couple years, and you run into each other at a festival, and it's just like, no time's passed at all. So it's really cool. So I really love doing festivals more than anything, just because you get to see all the bands that you've met over time, and some that you haven't gotten to tour with, and it's just like a big family, which is cool. But I think, I don't know, man, I like 11 guys are fun to tour with. I wish this tour was longer, for sure. So hopefully in the future we'll add a couple dates to the Hard Pop Life tour, maybe extend it over the next couple of years.
Yeah, because I know 11, these are crazy guys. They do a crazy show, and you guys do a pretty crazy show too. You guys really rock it out. So one of the things is, I was just talking about tours. So what about tours? Like, I know for being a Christian band, it's a tough thing. When you go out on tours and stuff, you get all these influence and pressures and all these different things that are beating you down. What do you do to stay with the faith during these tours? I mean, what's the thing that keeps you going?
Well, I think the really cool side of that is when you're touring with these other bands, and just even with our own band, we're surrounded by 5 other people that are like-minded and are encouraging, and so we sort of have this fellowship of believers when we tour anyways, even if it's just us. And as a band, we try to stay rooted in the Word and try to do Bible studies. We're on the road and work that into a schedule, and we've been on tours where every band will be doing, all the bands will come together for Bible study, and that's just a really awesome moment. So I feel like just the positive influence of having all these people around, and just being able to sit and have, like, really cool conversations with other Christians that are, in music ministry is just, it just turns out to be just really encouraging for me, just being out on the road. So.
Well, that's awesome. So That's kind of. I tend to kind of get curious. A lot of these guys, a lot of you guys listen to different pastors while you're on the road because you don't get a chance to be in a church every single Sunday. So, like, what would be the pastor you would listen, like the speaker you would listen to? Whether it be on TV, radio, podcast. What's your one of the guys you like to listen to a lot?
Well, it's funny because you say that we're a Christian band and stuff, and that's a funny thing is like I never get to go to church. We're either playing someone's church, so we're driving to it for that night, or we're traveling, or if I'm traveling to see family or something. So it's really hard. And I actually moved to Nashville about 3 months ago, and we're still trying out churches, but I can go maybe once a month or so. So we definitely try to capitalize on it. But yeah, podcasts and stuff like that make it really. It's not the same, but you can still hear a message and stuff. So. We have we all kind of listen to the churches from that we have back home. Like when I lived in Charlotte, we went to a church called Mosaic, and so we keep up with their podcasts when we can. And but still, like just even like I have a couple Erwin McManus books which are cool to read, and it's cool to hear other pastors. And then every now and then I'll listen to like Joel Osteen or something when you just you have like 30 minutes and want to be encouraged. Like that's a good So yeah, sort of a mix. A mix of different podcasts and pastors and stuff like that. And then also when we're on the road, it's kind of cool if we're out and we are able to go to church, to like go to the church that we were playing at that night or the night before. So that's always fun too.
So what? That's awesome. There's a lot of different good things out there. I'm you got to keep yourself uplifted and keep yourself rooted and stuff. So what bands influences Philmont? That's kind of an interesting question because you got a very it's kind of a rock pop kind of all kinds. It's all over the place a little bit. So like, what bands influence you guys?
That answer started out pretty specific. When we started out, we grew up listening like Newfound Glory and Blink-182 and those pop punk bands, and just as we grew up, like our taste diversified so much that we just listen to all sorts of music. I personally, I'm a sucker for like pop radio. Like that's my guilty pleasure. I mean, I just love stuff with hooks and like catchy, whatever. But we also, on the Christian side, like I grew up as a huge Five Iron Frenzy fan. And actually, like we were driving here today this morning. I was asleep in my chair, and I woke up, and they were some station was actually playing Five Iron Frenzy on the radio, which is totally random. But so yeah, I just I drew a lot from that, and then we grew up being big Switchfoot, Reliant K fans, and then a little later on Amberlin and Emery, and so it's cool to play some of the same festivals as these bands and meet them and stuff because they are such a big influence on us, musically and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it's kind of like meeting, like, it's kind of like looking back and say, man, I grew up listening to these guys. Here I am playing next to them, dude. Yeah. I'm opening for them, or, they're, in some cases, they're even opening for you. It's just like, what happened? So, kind of still along the same question. What's your favorite band? I mean, because everybody's going to have at least a favorite. I mean, it may not, you can name off 5 or, 4 or 5. It's just, what's your top?
Man, it's always changing. If I gotta go like pure like currently what's on my iPhone, what I have the bulk of, I think Jimmy Eat World I listen to a lot of. Motion City Soundtrack is something else I listen to a good bit, but I just I don't know, anytime new music's out, I'm trying to listen to it. And I'm still like, I grew up being a Newfound Glory fan, and I still very much am. Like when they put out stuff, I still love it. So but always looking for new music, and always happy to pop new CDs in the CD player. So
yeah. So that's awesome. I love that. I'm always, because that's what we do, is we like to find new bands and check the, get them. Hey, check these guys out. If you like this sound, we're going to check this out. So we always love new music as well. So let's see, what do you do outside of music? What's your hobby? Because I know there's so much. You're all, when you're band on tour or full time, you're always doing something with music. But like outside of music, when you're on the bus or when you're out, just out hanging out and stuff, what do you do?
Man, I have my life is so consumed with Philmont stuff that I spend so much time off the road, just whether it's working on booking or like just stuff, like always working on stuff. So it's like I don't often have time for a hobby, but I mean, one thing I like to do, just like when I'm sitting and working on stuff all day, like I have me and my wife have a little Jack Russell Terrier dog, and so we'll take her out to the park for a couple hours every day and walk around, which, I mean, it's kind of geeky, but I love doing it. I love spending time with them and walking around. And so in college I played ultimate frisbee a lot, like on the team there, and it's something I found. I found some groups in Nashville that play throughout the week, just pick up games, and so I got plugged in with them. I haven't been home yet. It's been about a month I've been talking to you, but I haven't been home on whatever it is, a Thursday or whatever. So hopefully I'm hoping to get back into that and just start having some stuff outside of music, just to, just to take a break for an hour or two. So.
Yeah. Because everybody loves a good game of ultimate frisbee. So that's awesome. One of the things I was kind of curious about is, you guys just real recently released the Transition EP. Are you guys putting anything in the works right now? Any recordings? I know you guys talked about, writing stuff. So what's going in the works right now?
We're doing a lot of writing, which is what we like to do. We, for the Transition EP, it was 6 tracks, and we probably wrote 20, 30 songs before we decided on the 6 to do for that. So I think it's important to just write a bunch of music and then pick what's the best or what just fits together the best. And so we're just in write mode right now. So we're not planning on anything particularly, but I would love to be recording in the winter again, if not sooner. So it's just a matter of just when the songs come around, and hopefully we can start playing some new ones live and bouncing them off of people, and be recording again soon.
That's awesome. It's looking, I know there are a lot of people out there looking forward to your next real full-length album. So we got one last question for you, and one question we always ask every artist we interview. If there's one message you get out, think of it as your last thing you could possibly ever say. This is it. This is all over after this. What is one thing you could say to everybody out there listening right now?
Well, I think more than anything, especially, and this is something that goes for youth, or adults, or whoever, is just a message of hope. And the one thing I like to tell people is, we all have problems. We're all going through stuff in our lives. And sometimes they're big problems, sometimes they're small problems, whether it's financial problems or just, in a relationship or just whatever's going on with you. I just like to tell people that, don't be alone in that. We get really in a dark, depressing place when we start feeling like nobody else can really understand what you're going through. And just, if anything, you're not the first person to go through what you are, and there's a community of believers and just people out there that would love to help and just not even give you advice, just listen to your story. And we work with this organization. It's mybrokenpalace.com. It's a website, and it's just a really cool place to send people in to go if you're dealing with anything from abuse to cutting to suicide or just depression or just abuse, substance abuse or physical abuse or mental, whatever. This is a cool connecting point to talk to somebody and just get the words off your chest and connect with somebody. And so we like to always plug them and just, if you're hurting or whatever, just definitely, check it out and see, check out the resources and just talk to somebody more than anything.
Awesome. Thank you very much for taking the time out to do this, man.
Absolutely.
Before you go, I want you to just tell us, where can we find Philmont on the web? Just let us know. We want to get them out there. Hey, if you guys listening, check this out. This band is awesome, and he's going to give you some links real quick. So let's check it out.
All right. Well, you can find everything if you go to the website philmontrock.com. Keep the W's out of it. Just PHILMONTROCK.com. That has links to everything. But Facebook.com/Philmont